Hey guys, how you doing? Today I'm going to do something a little different. I wanted to look into the astrology of the United States. I poked my head into Trump's chart to see about his health and to see how it's related to the US. Also, the full moon in Aries coming up at next weekend and how it affects each sign. So let's get started. So I started off with Donald Trump's chart. And as I compared it to the US chart, there is a lot of connections, for good or for bad. Now, he has a Leo ascendant, which is the sign of the king. And obviously, ascendant is how you want to show up in the world, how people see you, and he wants to be seen as a king. Also, it rules like Leo's color is gold. So, who loves the gold, especially the toilets? Now, he has Mars on his ascendant. It's in his 12th house. So in past lives, well, let me stop there. Mars is about aggression, how you assert yourself. Okay. It's also about your maleness and how you assert that into the world. It's in his 12th house. It's just barely behind his ascendant. So he, in a past life, was very aggressive and he took what he wanted. This is my interpretation. Plus, he has Pluto in his 12th house, and your Pluto is where you are evolving, where your karmic patterns are able to be healed and to move forward or release. His is in his 12th house, so it's a past life in Leo. So it's either internally some deep hidden things that he doesn't want anybody to see, that he's trying, his soul is challenged to release and to examine, or this Pluto in Leo is that life of kingliness and power. And I don't know who he was in a past life. And I did a meditation on him like last year, and I saw him in a concentration camp as I don't know, a captive, and he died there. And I think that was part of the one I saw. But this is different. This life was different. And his Jupiter's in his second house, so he feels like he always has money, and he's very lucky with money. Jupiter's there, trining his nodes. Uranus is in his 10th house. He wants to be a disruptor. He likes doing that. He feels like that's his job in life, is to be different and to shock. He wants to shock everybody. And he wants to be seen. His reputation is to be singularly stand out, Leo, but also this Aquarian energy in his 10th house of be different, be eccentric, kind of be out there. And he's got his moon in his 4th house, and it's the south node. And south node is your past, again, your past life. But moon is where you find emotional satisfaction. His is in Sagittarius, and Sagittarius is the sign of the wise professor and the wise guru, but it's also higher learning and some spiritual stuff, priests and stuff. But a lot of times Sagittarians are very pointed. They believe they know the truth, and they have taught themselves the truth. They're honest and they know the truth, and sometimes to a fault, and they speak it very sharply sometimes, and they don't understand why people are hurt by what they say. Anyway, his moon is in his 4th house, so that's home, family, and real estate. So he gets a lot of satisfaction from having real estate. And his home is very important to him. Now, Saturn is a restrictor. It's where you're responsible, where you show your commitment. But it also is heavy. And it's right next to this Venus. And this Venus is how you feel loved. And they're both in Cancer. Cancer rules mom, but Saturn is dad. So Saturn is the heavy thing on his how he feels loved. So he was born into an energy of, I can never feel that love. He had a hole in his heart from, that time in his life. So that's what he was destined to come in here and to learn about. And his reputation is the area where he was supposed to move into Gemini, because that's where his sun is. And he has a lot of ease. It's a very powerful chart. It is. It's a very powerful chart. Now, when it comes to the US chart or the transit, let's do this real quick. So the transits for him, he has Pluto going through his sixth house of health. Pluto is the transformer, and it digs deep and it takes everything out, and it's the kind of bringer of death, but not necessarily for everybody, obviously. But it ends things. It's the ender, and you've got to clean it out or it gets moved on. So it's moving through a sixth house of health, of daily work, of people around him, his daily activities, also pets. And he's being called to transform his health and his daily work. And if he doesn't transform it in a higher level way, it's going to be transformed for him, meaning his health will change. And Uranus is back to he's almost to the point of his Uranus return, which is usually at 84, and it's up at the top of his chart again in his career and his reputation and how people see him. Now, he wanted to be the disruptor. He came into this life wanting to be this disruptor and show people. So for most people, that would cause a sudden change. It causes somebody to don't tell me what to do kind of vibe, whatever the house it moves into. Uranus is, it's also releasing. It's also self-autonomy. He only wants to work by himself. So for him, it's not as big of a disruptor, but it is a change. His career is going to also, his reputation is also going through a big sudden change. And it will for the next several years. So there you go. And the moon and Pluto, I told you, were in his sixth house. Now, when it comes to, so the USA chart and Donald Trump's chart are interwoven. They're very connected on a lot of ways. His Chiron, which is the wounded healer, that's where your wound is in his second house of value, self opinions. I value my own, I'm self-confident. He's got Jupiter there, which is very expansive about money and stuff, but that's where his wound is. And Saturn is right there on that right now. The USA Saturn, and Saturn is about commitment and responsibility, and it's kind of a heavy thing, but Saturn is usually a deep connection with another chart, wherever that aspect's in your chart. If you hit somebody else's Saturn, it's usually a long-term commitment, and he obviously has been committed to the country. He's been talking about trying to be president for a long time. But this full moon, this coming up weekend, is right there on that 14 degrees of Chiron where it meets the US Saturn. So whenever there's the full moon, it sheds light on an area. It's opposite. It's in his eighth house of money and other people's money, the government's money. We're going to see about that, and it could be related to the shutdown. It's all in this access of my money and your money. He's really going to be highlighted about what he, wants to take away from the country and what we deserve as a country, what's ours, because he's focused, the light is going to be shining on what's ours and not what's his, but he may be feeling like, well, it's always mine, right? So I find that very interesting for his chart. That's specifically where that is landing. My needs versus the country's needs. And that's coming to a culmination. So obviously the shutdown is related to that. Now, when I saw the karmic thing too, is his North Node in Gemini conjunct his Sun is conjunct the Americas Mars. So he channels that aggressiveness of the United States. It's easy for him to embody that. He's doing the dirty work for a lot of people. He speaks about all the anger. So him fear-mongering, natural, totally natural, and people pick up on that. That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of things that they're connected. I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying there's a lot of things that are connected on this chart, these two charts. Now, when it comes to him, his transits coming up, I looked at him, I went forward. I don't see, besides the Pluto going through a sixth house of health, I don't see that anything super major will happen until next summer. I mean, there are other things that are going to happen, but I feel like the big shift will be June or July of next year, of 26, because Mars will have moved up farther, and Jupiter will be into his 12th house, and he it'll be on his ascendant, which gives a person a sense of grandiosity, but also like beyond, like, I can do anything. You feel very expansive, very beneficial. And a lot of times people gain weight, but whatever you have within you grows. Jupiter expands whatever it touches, right? So physical body, when Jupiter hits your physical body, you can get heavier because you eat too much, but it also, if you have a tumor, it grows that. So I'm not saying he has a tumor or anything, but if he has any health issues, it's going to exacerbate them. And that'll be next summer, which we all know he has some health issues. When I got into his energy, it has something to do with his blood. And it's been validated. I saw the vision of these particles in his blood. And so it's been validated through their announcement of whatever that thing is, where his legs are swollen, normal venous something or other. Anyway, that's going to be exaggerated. And as you can imagine, Jupiter, something expands those legs. It's not going to move. The blood isn't good. So I do think next year he's going to make a decision to pull himself out, if not before then. But he's going to be going through a lot of difficult times as Saturn goes to his 8th house of, it's going to be squaring his sun in the next 2 years. And all of that is going to be really difficult for him. But this weekend is about the money, our money, his money, and how he believes that he deserves it. Anyway, all right. So there's that. Now let's get on to the individual signs. Aries, the moon is in your sign. This full moon is really highlighting you. The full moon, it shines on everything about Aries. So the opposite, the Libra, that's your partner, business, romantic, otherwise. They are also on that axis because the sun is part of this, and your partnership may be pulling you away from what your needs are. I don't know if that's true, or maybe it's just highlighted and you're more aware of it. Mars is in your 8th house of intimacy. Mars rules your sign, and it's in Scorpio. So there might be discussions, especially with Mercury and Scorpio, about intimacy, what your needs are. You might find yourself a little bit more emotional because this culmination of this Libra Aries axis tends to make everybody a little bit amped up. And because it's in Aries, which is the sign of, fighting and not aggressiveness, but assertiveness, you might find that is a little bit more accented this weekend and for the next week and a half. And I would suggest just speak your mind and say how you feel. And that should be enough for you. For you, Taurus, the moon is going to be in the deepest, most unseen parts of your deep psychological area, where you might shine a light on that because the full moon is bright. And that axis is between your everyday work, pets, health. You might find that your health may, it's not like you need help with it, but there might get some push on what am I doing? How am I helping myself? How is my emotional status affecting me, health-wise? So, and then you've got Mercury and Mars on your 7th house of partnership. So you might find that the partner may have a little bit more action, or there might be a little bit of a aggressive talk, or maybe you'll find that you need to speak up about something that's really been bugging you. And that's okay, because we need to do that. And I think it's related to some inner needs that maybe aren't getting met, or you just want to attend to. Jupiter's in your 3rd house of siblings and writing and learning. And so that's been going on for the last little while. So that should probably be really helpful for you to share that, speak your mind without getting too crazy about it, because it has a nice trine and it's all good. So yeah, Taurus, speak up. I think that's the thing here. Gemini, you have a nice trine to the sun. It's in Libra, and both air signs It's so the accented area of your chart would be friends, community involvement, um, giving, service, charities, and also your romance, love life, but also kids, activities, creative stuff. You might have started something a couple weeks ago, and when we're in a new moon that is now coming to a peak when it comes to community involvement or friendships. It may be that you started a friendship, or you asked somebody to help you, as a friend, my needs aren't getting met, talk to me, kind of thing. Mars and Mercury are in Scorpio, and they are in your sixth house of healing and self-care. So it could be that maybe you started like going to a yoga class with a friend or something like that. That seems like that could be manifested like that. Also, because the sun's in Libra, it might highlight some your children, and they might be pulling you in a couple different directions, but it might be satisfying to you as long as you're taking care of what you need in friendships. Cancer. Now, this moon and sun in Libra and moon in Aries is crossing or T-squaring your sign. So that may cause some tension, but at the same time, it's some tension, and squares are what make things happen. We need a push, and this is kind of where the area is, and the moon is going to highlight the travel, um, secondary education like universities or internet, publishing, things out in the world, global stuff. And your sun is in your third house of learning. So that's learning, siblings, that kind of thing. So whatever you started a while back is now, there's going to be a lot of attention paid emotionally to those areas. Siblings, you might find that you're having to deal with uh, somebody locally, neighborhood, community. It also could mean you find a new car because your sign of your transportation is Libra, and so you might find that you are drawn to get a new vehicle because you want to travel more, that kind of stuff. Saturn, your area of the chart is your whole area, your global world culture, different cultures, ethnicities is very highlighted, and you might find that you're just drawn to learn about that, and it gets really exciting for you. Leo, this moon will trine your sun in the Aries house of your chart, and that is the eighth, which is deep psychological intimacy area where you need to feel safe and where you can explore that. Neptune's moving into that area, so I might imagine that this part of your chart will encourage you, and especially this next weekend, to get in an emotional place. And you might actually go, oh, maybe I need to do something about that. The sun is in your second house of values or money. This includes self-value. So I think that draw to attend to your own innermost needs, and this could mean sexually too, because this is a house of intimacy in all ways. And I feel like that area of your life, like you're like, okay, I'm stable. I need to explore more of that, inner work. You have been going through Saturn in your seventh house of partners, so you may have lately been finding that partnerships have been heavier and more you needing to take care of somebody, or you have to, they're more having to commit to something that may be heavier, or it's also a signal that you're getting married, which is a commitment and responsibility. And your Uranus is on your career house, so you may be finding that you're going through a period of big change in your career. Suddenly you don't want to do anything anymore that's going to not align with your beliefs and what you think is good for you. Virgo, the area of the life, the axis that this full moon is going to put a light on, and that is coming to a culmination, is the eighth house of intimacy, your inner world, the deep stuff that you don't show people, the things you protect from others. You may shine a light on it. It may be the time where you've been thinking about making an appointment with a therapist or something, or and you pull the trigger, or getting in there and doing some work. It also is related to money, other people's money, taxes, inheritances, and stuff like that. So there may be activity there. You might find that there's money somewhere that you had no idea. So this may come to a culmination of an area that you've been working on. And the sun is in Libra, which is in your second house of personal values. Again, money, but your own personal money resources, also how you feel about yourself. So that axis is activated, and it's going to culmination this weekend. Mars and Mercury in your third house of communication. So you might find you're a little bit pointed with your words. So be careful with that. And Jupiter's in your 11th house of community involvement, groups, associations, friendships. You might find that you've been gathering friends and expanding your friendship group, which has been going on for quite a while. And you've been drawn to more, you will be drawn to actually a little bit more powerful people that can transform your life. So this feels like a real deep transition for you. And it is a culmination. So something you started either at the beginning of the year when the sun was in Aries, or another time when this point in your chart, 14 degrees of Aries or Libra, has been activated. And you can look in your chart and see when that was and what happened then, and what's the culmination is now. You've got Uranus, that's a sign of sudden change and powerful inspiration, the spark of life coming to your career house. So you might find that suddenly you're just like, I don't want to do this for anybody anymore. I'm done. I'm going to do my own thing. That's also kind of moving into that sign of, or that area of your chart. So, okay, Libra, the sun is in your sign, and the full moon is opposite, and it's culminating, and it may have started a couple weeks ago when the moon was it was new. This full moon in Aries is going to shine a light on your partner's romantic, business, and the other person. Libras are always attending to the other person because you guys are focused a lot of the time on diplomacy and caring for other people. And this may shine a light on that, where you feel satisfied. You've been, yeah, I'm doing it and I enjoy it, and I'm drawn to do that more. I like giving to my partner. You've got Saturn coming up into the aspect of that corner of your chart, where you might find in the next couple of years you might commit to somebody, actually. But that has nothing to do with this weekend. This weekend is the culmination of a while ago, what you started, and it may have been a relationship. You have Neptune in your 7th house too, so you might find that you're very romantic. You're kind of getting lost in a relationship, so just beware of that. Mars is in your 2nd house of money, conjunct close enough to Mercury there. So you might find that you are going to work towards getting some more money. You're going to find activity around, what you value. Even your self-respect is up. It's part of the things we value. So there might be activity in that area of your chart. Jupiter's in your 10th house. Also, it's very expansive. So you might find that just for, there you might find, because it's in Cancer, it helps you with growing your career and your reputation, and it might feel like you're drawn to expand. Be careful, because it's sextiling your sun, but depending on, sometimes expansion gets to be too much, so be careful on how much you do that. Scorpio, this full moon axis is on your 12th house with the sun in Libra, and the moon is going to shine a light, and it's going to have a culmination in Aries, in something you started a while back, and it's in the area of health, pets, daily work, stuff you do every day, healing, stuff that you work on details with, stuff that you can find that every day you're dealing with. And then the sun in Libra is in your 12th house. So you may find that all the energy you have is going to be focused on your work, and your inner needs might get a little bit lost. So be careful of that. Also, this axis has to do with something you began a couple weeks, or when the moon was in, when new when the moon was new, or a while back, this culmination. So it may be something at work that you started a project or something that really, something you wanted to do, and it's going to come to fruition, and it's going to actually work out. That's a possibility. You might find too that you want to travel. Jupiter's in your ninth house, so you may feel drawn to make plans to travel, or you are traveling, or you're interested in publishing or something on a global scale, internet stuff. And then you have Mars on your ascendant. I think your chart, yours is much more because you've got everything in your cardinal signs here. So you might find this is a really important time for you. I'm looking at this as really pivotal. Your Mars is in your sun too. So there's a lot of energy for you, Scorpio, to make a lot of movement. And this weekend will really shine a light on what that would be in the future and what works and what doesn't, what you want to let go of. All right, Sagittarians, that's Uranus is in your is in Gemini, so it's opposing your sun, and it will be for quite a few years. So this maybe cause some of you to feel like, don't tell me what to do. I'm not going to do it. And or you're drawn to really unusual, eclectic things as time passes. But this weekend, October 6th, the full moon is in Aries opposite Libra in Libra sun. And that area of your axis of your life is between your fifth house of children, creative endeavors, romance, first dates, fun, risk-taking, gambling, that kind of stuff. And so you may find that this is culmination that's built up and built up, and it's going to come to a climax this weekend around children. So maybe you'll find out something about your children, and emotionally they're going to take up, there's something big that they've been working on that is going to finish or happen or come to be. And the sun in Libra in your 11th house of friendships, community involvement, groups, associations is part of that. That's the axis. So it's the outside world plus your inner world at your home and family and your children and how you feel about enjoying life out there or in here and doing things. So I think for you also, Jupiter is in your 8th house, and that's there for a while as well. And that's about expanding your intimacy, other people's money. You may find that you get an inheritance here. Or if you're applying for a grant or government thing, is really positive time to do that. And the same thing goes for intimacy. It's really a helpful time for you to expand, if you feel safe to do so, is to start talking to people and expand that inner world that you've kind of kept close to your chest. And then Mars and Mercury are in your 12th house. So that's actually related to that. So you'll find that you may have more activity spiritually, metaphorically, metaphysically in those areas, and start talking about it and activating that. All right, Scorpio, I'm sorry, Capricorn. This moon is in Aries and the sun it's in Libra, and whatever you started a while back is coming to fruition or culmination around the areas of home and career. And you guys are all about the career. So this is going to highlight the home opposition. Their axis is the sun is up there and it wants to shine, and the moon, which is about home and family anyway, you might feel drawn. There's something at home that's going to take your attention. There may be a pull where you might find that finally you can help out your mom, or your mom, we get her moved in and she's there, we take care of her. It's something you started a while back and now it's getting highlighted. It's being culminating at home. And the Neptune is moving into that area of your life, home and family, mom, real estate actually too. So you might actually have been working on real estate and it's going to come to a head this weekend, or you guys might get accepted. Your bid will get accepted, that kind of stuff. And the Jupiter's in your 7th house of romantic partners and business partners. So you might find this is a good time, or you've been in that area and it feels really good and you want to reach out. I would take a chance. This is a good time, especially with Uranus in your 5th house. It may give you the sudden inspiration to go and do something about that. And your kids may also be doing things suddenly, or you might suddenly find out you're pregnant. That's the other thing that might happen. But the moon in Aries for you guys is squaring your sign. So there is a little bit of tension between home and career, but it's all good. I think you guys, you have Venus in your ninth house, you have all these other positive aspects. So yeah, it's really good. Just be careful of what you say. You've got Saturn in your third house and your siblings. They may be causing you some stress too. All right, so Aquarians, you've been dealing with Pluto going through your sun, and it's going to continue that way for 20 or something years. So you're going to go through a big transformation, and it's slow and subtle, but that's in the background. This weekend is going to be a culmination of something you started a while back, and it could be when this area of your chart was activated before, the third to the ninth house. The sun is in Libra and the moon is in Aries. So the sun in Libra is about peace, diplomacy, and actually beauty and art and stuff too. But it's in your ninth house of travel, big, ethnic, cultural things, global stuff, publishing, internet stuff. So that area of your house is being highlighted. And the thing that you started a while back, that axis, is in the third house. It could be about siblings. It could be about writing. It could be about communication in all things. It could be about using your transportation, moving in local areas, your neighborhood, community, stuff like that. So the full moon shows that's going to come to a head, or it's going to come to a peak from what you may have started a while back. It also is just going to highlight those areas of your chart and have you focus and what you want to do, because Mars rules Aries, and there may be action related to this. And then Mars is in your 10th house of career, and Mercury's up there too. So you might find that there's a lot of action at work or your reputation. There's a lot of notice. You might get seen. There's a lot of activity there. And Jupiter, especially because Jupiter's in your 6th house of everyday work. So you might could come up where you have a lot of work to do because Jupiter's there. But it also could mean it's really lucky for your health, and you might find that you want to get a new pet, and that sort of thing is part of that. All right, Pisces, this full moon in Aries on the axis is your 2nd house of personal values and money. So you maybe there's something you started, and this full moon is going to really highlight something about you making money or what you believe to be emotionally satisfying for values, because the 2nd house is not just money, it's about how we feel about ourselves. So you may come to a point where you're like, all right, I deserve this. And it may be something you started or an idea you started a while back, and now it's coming to fruition, or you're like, all right, I'm done with this. This is ending. I'm going to, this is enough. And I feel good about myself, and I need to either make more money or I need to take action. That could be part of this kind of period of time where you feel the impetus to do that. The sun is in your 8th house of other people's money. So it could be that it's highlighted because you want to like apply for a grant, or you might get an inheritance, or you might deal with taxes, sort of thing. It's all related to values. And the sun in that house also relates to intimacy and what your needs are. So Pisces, you're a sensitive sort. So your needs might be highlighted, your needs intimacy wise, and also value, money, resources, self-care. Jupiter's in your 5th house of children and fun and romance. So you might find that somebody comes along and trips your trigger, as they say. And Jupiter's in Cancer, so it's been that way for the last 6 months. So you guys actually have been on a roll a little bit because of it. It may help you feel more expansive. And the Mars is in your 9th house of travel. You might, and Mercury's there too. So you might find you want to travel. You might go somewhere, and you might actually take some of that money that you're making and put it towards either higher learning or travel or different cultures or seeing different places of the world, or internet, or all kinds of stuff like that, or publishing. Yeah, Pisces, this feels really good. Saturn's in your sun, has been in your sun sign for a long time, and that's been kind of a bummer. So hopefully this will help you snap out of that.